All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Weeknights. Big smiles. Oh, bing. Yep. There you go. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Um. Well, you know,
What's the matter? It is
just
weeknights.
it is Weeknights. I was thinking of the topics, but I just realized as you asked me what's the matter, we didn't even introduce ourselves. I'm so sorry.
I'm
Go
Dash,
ahead.
aka Dashing D, aka aka the real king of R&B, aka cool grandma, but not really, aka
AKA my whole arm is in the camera.
aka Vamoose. That you can keep it.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
So funny. All right. You and your antics. All right. And I am JD, aka He Who Pods, aka Man. Is the week over yet? I know it just started. And my week is just starting.
Yeah. I mean, it's been one hell of a week already.
Yeah. Well, whatever. We'll get to it. All right. Let's talk about Drake a little bit. So a
And his
clip went
dad.
Yup. A clip went viral.
Yeah.
A couple clips actually
Yeah.
of Drake and Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne is now on the Drake tour for the next couple. I think the remaining dates on the tour.
Yes, he has replaced J. Cole.
Actually, no. I heard somebody break this down, and I didn't realize, but they're
Uh,
correct because I checked.
okay.
J. Cole never left the tour. What happened is Drake extended the tour. Remember,
Oh,
originally, originally what happened was Drake missed a bunch of dates from
mhm.
his tour, and this was supposed to be him coming back around to do those
Dates.
dates. But
Okay.
then he added a bunch of other dates to kind of make it a second tour.
Okay.
So J. Cole only signed on for those original dates.
Okay.
And so now he needed someone else to co-headline, I guess. So you got Lil Wayne and Lil Durk to
Okay.
come in and do dates.
And J. Cole has things to do because he has to respond to. He
Yes.
too has to respond. Okay. So
Yes, and I think that's coming any day now. But J. Cole
J. Cole
actually
is busy.
right, and I think that's why he decided not to do the other dates because we know he's got this stuff he's doing, an album he's
Yeah.
working on, etc. So I think that's really why. But it hasn't really been explained publicly, and that's why.
Mhm.
But Lil Wayne is on the tour now, and footage has come out of Drake and Lil Wayne using teleprompters to read their lyrics. Uh, and the internet is buzzing, 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 buzzing about it. Um,
Sure are.
it appears that this is normal.
It is.
Um,
I looked it up. It's actually very common for people on tour to use a teleprompter as part of their stage setup. Now, my question is, and I know this is going to derail us just for a second, but it's fine. My question is, why they didn't give Miss Patty a teleprompter?
you know she had it.
Baby, it's moving too fast. That's probably what she said. Y'all gotta stop scrolling so fast. Yeah, cause I was thinking about it, and I was like, I immediately thought of Patti LaBelle. Immediately. And I said,
Messing up
well,
the tribute to Tina Turner.
yep. And I thought to myself, but why didn't Patty have a teleprompter? Now, let's get back to it. So this is this is apparently this is common. Um, everyone doesn't do it. but people do it. It is not uncommon. It's just that someone was able to capture it on camera and out them, which I don't even think it's an outing. I just think it's a, oh wow, this is happening. And your instinct is like, oh, that's cheating. But also, people don't understand how things work behind the scenes. We assume that everything is just so perfect and pristine and done just so that it is almost unfathomable sometimes as the public to see something like that and not have a shocked reaction to it.
Right.
But really, is it really that shocking? Would we prefer for them to not have the words and then not remember them? Or I also think there's a question here that should be answered, which
What would
is,
that be?
given hip hop culture specifically, because apparently people do this across all genres.
Mhm.
But given the nature of hip hop, given the fact that hip hop culture is so immersed in the words and how you say the words, and being able to recall the words, being able to do things like freestyle without having, and I know some people freestyle using things they've already
Yeah,
written, or
today nobody freestyles. It's all rhythms.
right. But I'm just saying, like, in a culture like that where that is so important, who wrote it? Did you write it yourself? When we have all of these conversations, and no, it's not the same thing, but is memorizing your words, especially music that you've been performing for years, because the song that they were performing was a song that we've heard them do millions of times, and a song that's been out for probably 10 years now. Do you think it's okay? Do you think it matters?
I think there's a couple of answers. I think number one, Lil Wayne has come forth publicly before and said, I've written way too many songs and verses to ever remember them.
And done way too much lean.
That's what he said publicly, that he's written too many songs and verses to remember them all.
It's
So he
not a
might need it.
judgment. Sorry.
Okay. Uh, that's what he said publicly. And so if that's the case, then he might need a teleprompter.
Mm-hmm.
I think the next answer is, you said it happens across all genres.
Right.
Then why should hip hop be scrutinized if it happens across all genres? If every genre does it, why wouldn't the most wordy genre be able to do it? No other genre has as many words as us.
That's true.
Or let me not say no other. Most other genres don't have as many words as we have.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we have double and triple and quadruple the words,
Mm-hmm.
why wouldn't we have the teleprompter? Wouldn't that mean we need it more?
It's the cops coming for Diddy.
Wow.
Now who's going vamoose?
Yeah.
Jokes.
Yeah.
Jokes.
And that's even if they could hear it, because when we edit, they may not be able to hear it. But that was actually really good. Leave that right in there. Um, yeah, if hip hop has more words than most other genres, then I would think having the teleprompter makes more sense for hip hop. Um, but I have to be honest, I was shocked to see this. I did not know, honest. And maybe I live under a rock, but I didn't know that this was happening. I never seen anything like that. Um, and maybe because, going back to the couple weeks ago, maybe because I'm a nobody.
Oh, here we go again. Here we go again.
Nobody is nobody, maybe because I'm nobody.
Listen,
Maybe that's why I was unaware. But I will say this in response to your question. Uh, in hip hop, there's a big thing about remembering your verses. There's a big thing about not being able to recall what you have written. It often calls into question, why don't you know what you have written, especially once it's recorded, especially once you're performing? But my answer is because we scrutinize ourselves way more than others do.
you're on stage in front of thousands of people.
I don't care if you're in front of 10 people. We're
Sure.
still scrutinized way more than the other genre who say, damn it, I forgot my lyrics. Matter of fact, last year we were
Mhm.
both at Roots Picnic when a legend in R&B said, "Oh shit, I forgot my own verse."
Well, 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 well. And that's all he had to do to clean it up. He just did, well,
It didn't go viral.
no, it didn't.
It wasn't like people wanted to take his music off Spotify. He just was like, "Oh my bad, y'all," and kept going.
And people thought it was endearing. I know I did.
So then that's my answer. We scrutinize ourselves way more than other genres. It's kind of like, you ever seen the movie Queen and Slim? Oh, okay. Drink while I ask you a question. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's a no or a yes?
No,
What just happened? Were you
because I,
scared to answer the question or something?
'cause I always meant to, and then things that I can't say publicly made me not. Like I meant to watch it, and I
Oh,
know
I
it
know
was
what this
a
is. We
big
spoke.
deal
We
when
spoke
it came
about this
out,
before. Yeah,
but
I just remembered. Yeah,
I know one of the. I'll say this.
I was
I
about to
know
say something similar. Right.
I know one of the cast members personally, like not a friend, but I've met one of the cast members like on an ongoing basis. Like we were in the same space for an extended period of time, right? Like we were around each other all the time. That's when I say I know the person, that's what I mean when I say I know them. And they told a lie publicly. And either they were lying then when I knew them, or they're lying now.
All right.
And I
So that's
couldn't
like,
wrap my head around it. And so I just never went back to the film. Like I always meant to watch it because I'm sure that it's a great film. Everyone said go watch it. I understand, guys. But I just couldn't make peace with it, and so I just never went back to it. That
got it.
is that is what I can say about that. That's why I laughed because I'm like, oh, awkward.
Got it. I was so confused. I was just gonna bring up a random line from the movie, and then it took a
Right,
turn.
but you know the real story, so
I totally forgot that. Yes,
yeah.
I'm sorry. That's my fault. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. There's a scene in the movie when it's two main characters. So when he asks her, "Why
Mhm.
is it we always need to be the best at everything? Why is it black people can't just be? Why do
Right.
we always have to be the best? Why do we always have to go above and beyond? Why do we always have to be excellent at everything?" That's what this makes me think about. If hip hop has more words than most genres, forget about that actually. If this is done across all genres, why do we have to scrutinize hip hop for doing it? It shouldn't be
I,
scrutinized. I'm
and I
not
think
blaming
that's
you.
yeah,
Just to be
no,
clear, I'm saying the internet was going nuts about this for the past couple days, and I kept seeing it, and I didn't know. Honest, when I saw it, I was like, "Ooh, man, oh, what's that about?" But
yeah.
apparently, it's normal. So if it's normal, why are we being scrutinized? Why is it a big deal? Then it should just be, "Hey, it's normal. Let's move on."
My
Why we
frustration,
always got to be the ones? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
right? No, it's okay. My frustration with it is that and you know me, this is usually the route I go. Y'all don't do this. So why are y'all so mad? Not you, but
I'm about to say you. Who is you? But I'm not
the
me. But who's
public.
the you?
The
Like
the
the
people
fans?
who the people who are reacting to this,
Uh huh.
a lot of them don't do this. You don't get up on stage and perform in front of people. You don't do any of that. But yet your expectation is that someone should be able to do it on demand and without fault or
No, no,
without
no, no,
flaw.
no, 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 no. If people don't know this, the same way I have been to tons of concerts and did not know this,
Uh-huh.
right? Then the expectation is the artist I'm going to see
Uh-huh.
knows their songs by heart. The same way we, the fans, know their songs by heart. I come up on this platform and quote Jay-Z all the time and others, but a lot of times I quote Jay-Z up here. If, when I go see Jay-Z, I expect Jay-Z to know the words to his songs.
Of course.
So if I go to a Jay-Z concert and see words on a teleprompter for Jigga, Jigga, that nigga Jigga, I'm very confused by that. Because I expect, as a fan who doesn't know this, right? Now that we know, different conversation. But off of the first time seeing it, the expectation is I'm going to get a good show and you're going to perform the song and you're going to know the songs.
I care less about the teleprompter and more about whether your music is actually live. That I think to me is more important.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, it, they tried to get Chris Brown actually. I noticed that a lot of people were making comments about him being on tour and lip syncing. He doesn't typically lip sync on his tours. In fact, someone even in response to one of those comments, someone even posted where his music went out, like they had a technical issue, and he's actually singing his music a cappella. So I would be more concerned that an artist is actually singing their music, and I totally understand that grain of salt there because people like even I know I feel like I always bring up Beyonce, but I feel like she dances crazy on stage, or like Chris Brown dances crazy on stage. If we found out that they were lip syncing to certain songs because there was a lot more movement or whatever the case may be, like whatever the reason is, I feel like okay, like I get it because sometimes you know chew gum and walk at the same time. Sometimes it's just not possible, right? But but you look so serious when I
I'm trying to let you go.
no, I'm just saying I understand that there may be moments where people are performing and is better to have the track on than them singing or whatever it is, right? But what I would prefer is for them to see the lyrics on the screen and be able to actually recite their music rather than not. So the teleprompter it didn't really bother me when I saw it, is the point that I'm trying to make. It didn't, I was just like, oh, that's odd. Do That's really odd. And then I thought about it and I was like, well, I don't know anything about tour setups and things like that. Let me look it up and see. And sure enough, like all the articles I saw was like, oh yeah, this is like super common. Like people do this all the time. Um, so it doesn't bother me. I understand that people react that way, but I also feel like we have such high expectations of the people that we admire or the people our faves, the people we like, the people we idolize, however you want to say it. Um, we have such high expectations of them that it's like sometimes when we realize that they too are humans, and not and not supernatural beings. I think it's like we can't, like I said, it's unfathomable sometimes. And I feel like that's what this is. Like, when you really sit down and think about it, it makes a hell of a lot of sense to have the lyrics on the screen. What if you lose your train of thought? What if you, yes, you're supposed to be a professional. You're supposed to be able to do this. This is your job. This is what you do. But the reality is, performing is, there's a lot going on. There's lights, there's cameras, there's people screaming, there's this, there's that. What if somebody has an off night and just loses their train of thought? As someone who loses their train of thought multiple times in one day, I can't even imagine. So I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. And in terms of hip hop, I do think that's correct. That sometimes there is a lot more pressure, and even just with black music, I feel like there is a lot more pressure on how things should be, or this person did it this way, and that's not good enough. And it's always like the bar is always, it doesn't matter that this is a person who's performing to the best of their ability. They're at the top of their game. They're considered one of the upper echelon of their genre. We still can't we still can't make sense of the fact that they might actually be flawed humans who need a little help sometimes.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
why
what
I
I
brought
mean.
up the quote from the movie.
Huh?
So that's why I brought up the quote from the movie.
Yeah. So that's what I mean when you know, when I say that. I just kind of feel like, you know, I I don't I can't imagine, like, I have spoken publicly. Yes, I speak on this podcast all the time, and I speak on Hardly Minding My Business, which has returned, by the way. But I there have been times where I've had to speak publicly and I forgot what I was going to say. And not because I didn't practice, not because I didn't know it, but shit, sometimes you just forget what you were going to say. It happens.
Right.
For a performer, it's probably fewer and far between, and it's probably not the thing that we would expect. But doesn't mean it doesn't mean it can't happen. So, and they weren't looking at it the entire time either.
I think who cares if they were? If it's something that's done across all genres, then whatever. What
Yeah.
should matter is that they put on a good show.
Yeah, and that's for the people to decide. I don't. Oh, but apparently, real quick, they apparently they didn't. Drake didn't like that when Lil Wayne came out initially. People weren't excited. I think this was in Florida. People weren't excited about it. I feel like Drake is always like trying to get people to hype up his daddy, and I don't. What do you want people to do? I mean, I don't have a problem with Lil Wayne. If Lil Wayne comes out and he starts performing a song that, shaped my youth, I'm I'm probably gonna scream and get excited. But you can't make people get excited about someone coming out on stage.
I don't understand it either. People paid their hard-earned money. You got the money. That's it. What else do you want?
He'd be like, "Come on."
Like Drake, we are fans of you. That's why we're here.
That's how I feel. I feel like people are like, "But we came to see you."
Right.
We don't have to get excited about him.
Right.
But yeah, so
Well, uh, let's move on to some updates.
okay,
Updates about P Diddy, P Papa, Papa Diddy Pop.
that's somebody else's daddy. So,
Let me get my specs out.
oof, I hate this story so much.
Well, there's updates that we should discuss, and then who knows if we'll discuss this again for a while, but
Right?
we should discuss it. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump around a bit. So here is an update from apnews.com. Uh, excuse me. It says here, oh, let me do the sideways thing so I don't see the bottom of my head the whole time. It says here, Sean Diddy Combs' lawyer said Tuesday that the searches of the rapper's Los Angeles and Miami properties by federal authorities in a sex trafficking investigation were a quote gross use of military level force, and that Combs is innocent and will continue to fight to clear his name. It's the first public statement from the music mogul's team since Monday's raid of his homes by Homeland Security investigation agents. I'm gonna skip the attorney's quote and then we'll come back to it. Because we were saying yesterday we were unsure about what was really going on, and some of those things have come out in this article.
Yeah.
So it says here, the searches were part of an ongoing sex trafficking investigation by federal authorities in New York. Two law enforcement officials told the Associated Press. The officials were not authorized to publicly discuss details of the investigation and spoke to the AP on condition of anonymity. Holmes was not detained and spoke to authorities, and neither he nor any family members were arrested, nor had their travel been restricted, according to Dyer's statement.
Yet.
Now let's get to the statement.
Yet.
All right, now I got to see the bottom of my head because this is weird here. All right, it says yesterday there was a gross overuse of military force as search warrants were executed at Mr. Combs' residences. So like I had to sneeze, but it didn't come out. All right. There is no excuse for the excessive show of force and hostility exhibited. Oh, I thought you was about to sneeze. I saw you go like this. Exhibited by the authorities or the way his children and employees were treated. Mr. Combs was never detained but spoke to and cooperated with authorities. Despite media speculation, neither Mr. Combs nor any of his family members have been arrested, nor has their ability to travel been restricted in any way. The unprecedented ambush, paired with an advanced, coordinated media presence, leads to a premature rush to judgment of Mr. Combs and is nothing more than a witch hunt based on meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits. There has been no finding of criminal or civil liability with any of those allegations. Mr. Combs is innocent and will continue to fight every single day to clear his name. Statement from Aaron Dyer, Diddy's attorney. There you have it, folks.
What do they define as innocent?
I thought this was America,
All this
people.
is alleged. This is all alleged. He has
You
not been
didn't hear me.
convicted. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. What'd you say?
You asked what do they define as innocent? And I said, I thought this was America, people.
You're right. You're right. Absolutely right. But what I'm trying to get at though is very easy. I said this before. Actually, I don't think what I said ever made it to air.
Okay.
What I said before was that powerful people are able to, they have the leverage to bend the rules, and their definition of innocent sometimes means they did that shit. It doesn't always mean what we think as lay people, what we think is innocent. So, sure, his attorney is saying that he's innocent. Okay. Heard you. Just, this is, listen, there is,
Oh, that's so
listen,
funny.
whatever happens, I will allow this to cycle through the legal system, and whatever happens happens. But what I do know, from just public cases that have happened, but also from the abundance of crime dramas I have watched, what I know is that when the feds come knocking,
It was Homeland Security.
there were federal agents there.
And I was being silly.
When
The
the
article
feds,
says it was a federal investigation.
yeah, I mean, and Homeland Security is federal. So,
I was being silly.
I mean, I know. Usually, when I
Semantic
say
man.
right, but when and,
Semantic man.
and when I say feds, I usually mean the FBI specifically, and which I think a
Subliminal.
lot of us do. So,
Yeah.
um, but when they come knocking at your door, I said this yesterday. When they come knocking at your door, they come knocking at your door for a reason. They don't waste their time and resources. They don't. So you could call it a miscarriage of justice, the way they went in with guns and shit. But also, if you're accused of sex trafficking, I don't know how you expect them to come into your massive home. Okay? I just want to be clear about that. Like, you're being accused of trafficking young girls. How do you and I believe I read something that said that one of the things they were looking for was weapons. If they're looking for weapons, you think they're gonna come in all nice with their little windbreakers and just ain't no thing, no big deal. I know that some of these things don't get carried out nicely and properly, and I know that we people of color are usually on the shit end of the stick when it comes to anything like this, or anything, even a traffic stop can be turned into a dangerous situation for people of color. So don't get me wrong. I know that the justice system, and I know that law enforcement has huge problems when it comes to the black community, and huge problems when it comes to people of color. I am not negating that at all. But there's been a lot of allegations. There's been a lot of allegations, not just over the years, but in the last 6 months. So I say all that to say, I'm going to let it cycle through the justice system, and however it goes is how it goes. But don't piss on me and tell me it's raining either.
Wow. I will answer your question. What they do, lawyers and people in the legal system, is they prey on civilians' um, lack of knowledge of the legal system,
Mhm.
and they use certain phrases interchangeably
Mhm.
to manipulate the listeners and the viewers. So they say things like, he's innocent, even if that may not be the case,
Mhm.
because what they know is that if they use the word innocent, many people have been trained to look at that as the opposite of guilty.
Right.
But in the legal system, not guilty does not mean the same thing as innocent.
Yep.
And that is how they play things. They flip words and they flip phrases
Yep.
to get in the mind of the public, because they know
Mhm.
that the court of public opinion
Mhm.
plays a big role in many things. As you see, there are already rumors that Diddy sold all of his stake in Revolt to an anonymous source, to an anonymous buyer. This is part of the court of public opinion. All of this is the legal game that is played behind the scenes.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of like when Jonathan Majors did his first interview and people were saying like he looks kind of like his body language was small and he was timid. It was part of the game to make you think and perceive that this slimmer, uh, timid guy could never hit a woman.
And his clothes still wrinkled to this day.
Hey, that's his style. Mind your business. Now, my point is, these are all part of the
Dusty.
games that are played in media manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
And so using the term innocent and not legally liable are semantically used to play games with the public.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could say, hey, in these lawsuits, he was never liable. Yeah, but one of them was settled. So we don't even know because it never came. We never got to see it play out. Two of them are pending. So we don't know. So you could say, hey, man, not liable. Hey, man, innocent. And people will hear that and regurgitate that because they also know that today, especially, people have a very small focus, right? They do not have, there's a word I'm looking for. It's not focus. Uh, uh, you know what I'm talking about?
Discernment.
No, when people can't pay attention after a short amount of period.
Oh,
Attention span.
attention span.
I got it. Attention span. You know, they know today more than ever, people have a very short attention span. And so
Mm-hmm.
because of that, we're going to play on that. We're going to say things that are quick, that are catchy, words that stick out, keywords that you remember and say, hey, but his lawyer said he's innocent and he's not legally liable. And so they know people will regurgitate that because the public has a short attention span. They're probably not looking up what this means. They're probably not going to do the research. And so they're just going to regurgitate those things. An
Mm-hmm.
example of this is Donald Trump. Donald Trump does this a lot, where he'll say things that he and his team know people are going to ingest and regurgitate out as if it is factual. The news does it. The newspapers do it. This is a media manipulation trick, and lots of people do it because they know these things. They are
Yeah.
preying on the simple-minded, short attention span populace, and this is what that is. So that's my answer to your question. As far as the investigation from the feds, um, we'll see what happens with that. I'm not going to comment. But I think it's interesting that now we know it is a trafficking. I don't want to keep saying the words together because YouTube will flag it, but it is a blank trafficking investigation. And that paints a certain picture that talks to us about what kind of charges they're looking to put on Diddy. I also think it's good that they let us know he was spoken to but was not detained. It's great that we know no one was arrested in this matter. And so this was more of an investigation. But I have to be very honest. I also think this is in part to do with the fact that he is someone so rich and so powerful.
I'm like,
Because,
oh, y'all didn't take him in, cause what? One of these days is gonna come up where you're gonna ask him to quietly turn himself in,
of
like
course,
out of respect for the fact that he's a public figure. Cause
yeah,
that's really what this looks like to me.
of course,
I'm sure he was livid that his children were out there in handcuffs. And I'm
as he
sure
should be.
if he had control over that, that wouldn't have happened either. Totally
Right,
understand that. I wouldn't want my kids sitting outside of my house for some shit that I did, or that I'm being accused of, in handcuffs
right,
outside of their own home. Like that shit is wild to me, and that's not lost on me. I just want to be clear. Like, I totally sympathize with the fact that his children are enveloped in this, whether they're actually involved because they are adults, but whether they are involved or not, like that. I don't like that. I don't like any shit that has to do with children. I know that they're in their 20s or whatever, and I get it, but still, to even have them wrapped up in this shit, to me, is just, it is wild. And we will talk about Nickelodeon another time.
yes,
But
yes, we will. Um, yeah, I agree. I lost my original train of thought, but I agree that yeah, it's not good that those things happen. I understand what the lawyer is saying, and I definitely wouldn't want my kids in handcuffs. Period. On the flip side, I'm glad that it didn't end worse because we know that it could have ended a lot worse, especially if they were trying to protect their dad or do anything that would have gotten in the way of the investigation. So I am glad that everyone is alive, everyone
Mm-hmm.
is safe, and no one is
Mm-hmm.
currently behind bars.
Yeah.
Let them do their raid, let them do their investigation, let them do whatever they have to do, and
Mm-hmm.
then we'll move forward however we need to. So I'm glad to hear those things. Uh, we will keep a close eye on this and see what happens. Uh, but if it is going to be legal, we will we will wait and see what happens in the court system, in the legal system, not in the court of public opinion. Because up here we don't really do rumors, we do things that happened. And so if more stuff happens, we could talk about the stuff that happened. Y'all can look forward to that, listeners and viewers. But no, we won't be reporting too much more on the rumor report. People leaving in jets, audio of people having sex, those things.
Oh yeah, I don't care about any of
And
that.
when it hits us,
Yeah. I care about the like the shitty parts of the whole thing, and like if this is real, I said if this is real, if these things have happened, like I'm not okay with it. That's just that's just what it is. But
yeah.
again, it is all alleged at this point. Um so, you know, and it may forever be alleged because sometimes that's
Oh,
just the way, like you said, it doesn't always mean that a thing didn't happen.
right.
Um, sometimes it just means that that's the way the tide turns. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I was smiling before because I was thinking to myself, we considered doing a live episode yesterday, and I wonder how that would have went if
Oh,
we would have done a live episode yesterday
that would
and
have been
had
nuts.
it open to comments. I,
It would
yeah.
have been a bonanza.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know. I could go either way on that. I think it would have either been a gift or a curse. I don't know.
It would have been madness. It would have been a 3 hour pod.
Yeah. I think there would have been a lot of opinions
Yeah.
in the chat
And debates.
and debates and debates. Yeah. And there would probably be a lot of debates in our comments about this episode. I take a
Used to
very
be.
strong stance when it comes to certain things. I understand that. Totally get it. But, allegedly.
Yeah. And I'm not saying he did or did not do things. I just wanted to make it clear that innocent and guilty are not the same in the court of public opinion versus the legal system. Because a lot of times people hear, oh, it wasn't this person, man or woman, whatever, this person
Yeah.
wasn't locked up, they weren't found guilty, so they're innocent.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean that. It just means that they were not found guilty, and that doesn't mean they didn't do the thing. They didn't have a role in the thing. They didn't have part to do with it. There's all of these different um, levels of involvement that could be right. There's all type of levels of involvement they could have had. It just means that guilty requires a certain amount of evidence, a certain amount of convincing the jury and the judge, depending on what type of case it is. And that's not always found in these matters. And so that's all it means. Not guilty just means we didn't have enough evidence to prove that beyond the shadow of a doubt, this person was guilty.
Right, exactly.
That's all.
Exactly. And I think people forget that sometimes.
Yeah, and a
And
lot of people don't really know that because they don't know the legal system. That's something that has been programmed. Innocent, guilty.
yeah,
Innocent, guilty. But there's not guilty. It's not the same.
I mean, I read my law. I was going to see, that's why I'm not a lawyer. I read my LSAT
You
book.
need a teleprompter.
Definitely need a teleprompter. Okay. I read my LSAT book, but that was a very long time ago.
Got it.
and never took the test.
Got it.
Because advertising and podcasting and, more fun.
Right. And girls just want to have fun.
Exactly. Precisely that.
Yep.
All right. Well,
All right,
that's
ladies
it.
and gentlemen, thank you for being here. We hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to jump in our comments. We will see y'all tomorrow.
Bye.